Welcome to Holy Voices, where timeless truth meets your present journey. If you are here, it is not by accident. Your spirit was led to this place for a reason. Every word you will hear carries light, strength, and direction for your path. Stay with us, and let this message unlock the wisdom waiting inside you. Your comment may be the very word someone else needs. Like this video, subscribe to Holy Voices, and share your testimony below. Together, we will reach 40,000. Those who have been observing you, analyzing you, and attempting to unravel the secret of what makes you so unique from everyone else they've ever met are particularly perplexed by your peculiar presence. You are currently experiencing something that is inexplicable. As these words enter your consciousness, something that began a long time ago is solidifying into an indisputable truth. There are forces at work that you are not yet able to perceive as your consciousness broadens to include this reality. Look. Destiny threads intertwining, spirits tuning toward your frequency. And certainly, there is a specific individual whose presence alone is subtly changing the entire universe. But you must realize the significance of what you stand for before we can solve that enigma. Your energy transforms space rather than merely occupying it. Some perceive it as an unexplainable pull that pulls them toward something they need badly but cannot identify. Others find it extremely upsetting, as though your very existence is reflecting aspects of themselves that they have made a concerted effort to conceal. Some people, however, instantly identify it as home, the vibration they have been seeking throughout their lives without even realizing what they were looking for. There are repercussions to this realization that you are just now starting to comprehend. Someone is currently out there. Maybe someone has been observing you. Maybe you sensed someone's energy but haven't yet recognized them. Who has fallen victim to the strong attraction of your genuine power? This individual is more than just interested in you. The closeness to your frequency is causing them to change profoundly. However, their meticulously structured world is becoming chaotic as a result of this realization. Everything they've been taught about living, being, relating to people, and existence in general is being questioned. Their core convictions start to disintegrate as they get closer to realizing what you stand for. They are replaced by difficult-to-answer questions and unavoidable realities. The breakdown that must take place before rebirth is conceivable as what spiritual traditions have traditionally referred to as the dark night of the soul. Even though they are still enmeshed in the collective unconsciousness, their friends and family are starting to notice the changes. They are getting various inquiries from this guy they thought they knew, expressing a need for something genuine in a society where manufactured connections and experiences predominate, and viewing the world through distorted glasses. At first, the change is modest, but it is getting more and more obvious, and it is causing great discomfort for others around them. People that benefit mentally, monetarily, or energetically from human unconsciousness are beginning to see you as a danger to their meticulously preserved control structures. They have a feeling that if this individual keeps on their waking path, others may follow, and their whole system of influence may start to fall apart. As usual, the onslaught starts quietly. Rumors about your oddness in social circles. Deliberate sowing of suspicion about your motives. The use of your individuality as a weapon against your power. They turn your genuineness into acting, your depth into pretense, and your stillness into haughtiness. You are portrayed as dangerous, unstable, too intense, and too strange for normal society to comfortably accept, and the rumors spread like wildfire. From their place of spiritual ignorance, they are unable to see that every word they say against you just makes you more powerful. Even under layers of projection and deceit, truth has a way of identifying itself. Regardless of what others may say about you, the resonance of your authentic presence is felt by those whose spirits are ready to awaken. The strength of the opposition you're creating actually serves as evidence that you're accomplishing your goals. The individual who has been observing you is caught in the crossfire of this spiritual conflict in the meantime. They're listening to the rumors, seeing the assaults on you, and feeling pressured by others to deny what they've been going through. However, There's more going on inside of individuals than just social conditioning. Dormant codes in their consciousness have now been triggered by your presence. Old memories that defy the din of widespread apprehension and anxiety. They start to realize that their perplexity isn't a sign of weakness. The chrysalis of their predetermined existence is giving way to the birth pangs of a new identity. Like spiritual alchemy, every encounter with you, every moment spent with you, and every recollection of your energy has been transforming the lead of their conditioned reactions into the precious substance of genuine existence. Now, the change picks up speed, transcending their control and entering the domain of cosmic inevitability. The power of awakened consciousness is not only challenging but also destroying old paradigms. They begin to recognize the matrix for what it is. Not reality, but a meticulously built prison meant to prevent souls from recalling their boundless potential and nature. They start to see patterns they have never seen before as their awakening becomes more profound. The majority of people behave like sleepwalkers, reacting to pre-programmed stimuli rather than making conscious decisions. The manner in which society penalizes authenticity and encourages conformity. The system as a whole appears to be set up to keep people small, scared, and reliant on outside approval for their feeling of purpose and value. More significantly, though, people begin to realize that you weren't sent to them by mistake. You are a catalyst, a heavenly messenger that takes on the form of a regular person and carries frequencies that awaken things that have always been but lain dormant in human consciousness. It's no accident that you're in their lives. Its destiny came to pass in perfect timing, showing up just when their soul was prepared to recall why it had come. Like lightning splintering the sky, the realization strikes them. They're not merely observing your change. They're going through their own. They too possess the traits they have been admiring in you, the depths they have been experiencing, and the force that has drawn them to you. All of this is just waiting to be evoked, claimed, and articulated through their own distinct frequency and genuine voice. However, this awakening is not a gentle one. Everything they believed about themselves, their role in the world, and who they were is being violently reshaped. Dreams start to change, bringing with them symbols and messages they have never encountered before. They develop an almost painful level of intuition, detecting energies and undercurrents that most people are unaware of their entire lives. They become aware of the performance and charade that most social circles use to pass for genuine contact, and they begin to see through the masks that others wear. There is no denying the bodily manifestations of this spiritual transformation. As their consciousness adapts to functioning on several dimensional frequencies at once, their sleep patterns alter. As their body starts to seek foods that genuinely nourish them instead of just satisfying their pre-programmed appetites, food starts to taste different. As if they're suddenly speaking a different language than the folks they've known for years, even their relationships begin to feel alien. They become painfully aware of how your presence continues to impact not only them but also everyone who comes into contact with you during this intensive time of development. They observe how some people are drawn to you with an almost ravenous appetite, feeling something in your energy that they have been subconsciously hankering after. These people frequently struggle to explain what it is that attracts them to you, but they find themselves making time to be around you in order to take in whatever frequency you're sending that makes them feel as though they've been missing something they didn't realize they were missing. At the same time, they see the more dramatic responses of people who perceive what you stand for as threatening. These are not only casual dismissals or weak disapprovals. These are strong, almost instinctive reactions from those who believe that your very existence challenges their entire identity system. They observe how certain people get fixated on trying to undermine you, as though your genuineness somehow undermines their well-constructed identities. The attacks get increasingly complex and well-planned, encompassing not only rumors but also deliberate efforts to distance you from possible supporters and allies. This awakening observer finds it fascinating that you appear to be impervious to these attacks. With a kind of graceful detachment that befits a level of spiritual maturity they're just starting to understand, they watch you negotiate the social minefield. Because you have a deep understanding of the nature of truth, you don't defend yourself against unfounded allegations. Defense is not necessary. It just is. And regardless of the noise made by those who aren't ready to perceive it, those who are will, this realization transforms everything. Excitement replaces the fear that has been preventing them from moving forward. The uncertainty that had been impairing their vision becomes crystal clear. When they understand they're more than just a bystander to your trip, the distance they've kept out of uncertainty starts to fade. They are the main character in their own awakening tale. Additionally, you have been acting as a mirror and a catalyst for their development into real power. However, asserting this authority comes with its own set of difficulties. They also start to feel the divisive reactions you've grown so accustomed to as they start to show more of their true selves. Friends who used to feel at ease with them suddenly appear nervous, feeling a change that they don't exactly understand but don't enjoy. Family members who had previously taken their cooperation for granted now have to deal with someone who challenges presumptions, declines to engage in dysfunction, and insists on acting with true integrity rather than for the sake of social ease. The office becomes especially difficult as they learn that they can no longer engage in systems that undermine their newly awakened beliefs or pretend to care about things that seem pointless. Former coworkers who viewed them as predictable and controllable now deal with someone who speaks the truth, even when it hurts, avoids office politics, and brings a level of presence to meetings and interactions that painfully highlights how superficial most professional interactions are. However, something extraordinary starts to. Faith without works is dead, James 2 verse 26. Put your faith into action through a $50 seed into Holy Voices today. Occur while they work through these difficulties. Similar to how others were pulled to you, others are drawn to their growing genuineness, talks become more in-depth, relationships gain greater significance, and they discover that they are providing a safe haven for others who have been concealing their own spiritual desires beneath facades of normalcy. They start to realize that awakening is more than simply a personal experience. Through genuine touch amongst souls who acknowledge their common divine nature, it's a contagious process. The impact of ripples goes beyond nearby circles. They receive unusually candid approaches from strangers who share their troubles and insights that they otherwise wouldn't share. With the unadulterated awareness that young souls have before conditioning teaches them to question their instinctive reactions, children gravitate toward their energy. Even animals appear to react differently, coming in with a confidence and comfort that demonstrates the innocuous strength of sincere spiritual presence. They start to receive what you would call downloads during this expansion phase, which are unexpected bursts of information and insight that don't come from traditional learning but instead appear to result from direct communication with higher states of consciousness. These realizations frequently occur while they are in a state of silence and their thoughts are still capable of receiving messages from the enormous intelligence that pervades everything. Concepts that only months before would have appeared like incomprehensible mysticism begin to make sense to them, presently acknowledging them as essential facts regarding the essence of existence. As their ability to absorb and assimilate higher dimensional knowledge grows, so does the frequency and intensity of the downloads. They start to recognize patterns in what appear to be random occurrences and comprehend the unspoken relationships between individuals and situations. To see the flawless orchestration that leads seemingly chaotic circumstances to a purposeful conclusion. There are benefits and obligations associated with this increased awareness. The realization that most individuals rely on illusions for psychological solace begins to weigh heavily on them. It hurts to see others suffer from issues brought on by spiritual misunderstanding, particularly when they realize that merely expressing their insights is insufficient. Every soul must awaken in its own time via a distinct process of integration and revelation. This awakening soul and you both experience the loneliness of enlarged consciousness. Both of you know what it's like to see well in a society that frequently favors the familiarity of blindness. However, this mutual understanding forges a connection that goes beyond simple friendship or even love. This is the most profound form of soul recognition. Despite the appearance of separation, two facets of the same infinite mind acknowledge one another. However, their metamorphosis is not the end of the narrative. Something remarkable occurs when they totally embrace their own power and start to exhibit the same genuine presence they have been seeing in you. They act as a stimulant for others. Like ripples across a pond, the awakening touches lives they may never be aware of, awakens souls they may never meet, and adds to a collective metamorphosis that goes much beyond the confines of their particular life. However, this increase in power presents unforeseen difficulties. The forces that have been opposing you now focus on this fresh danger to their meticulously guarded control mechanisms. As the attacks get more intense, they acquire new levels of complexity and malevolence. The resistance now organizes more serious types of intervention, whereas previously it was satisfied to circulate rumors and generate social pressure. The Obsidian Inno Order is a haven for people who have endured hardships and come out on the other side with wisdom that others cannot perceive. We are aware that some events fall outside the realm of what most people believe is appropriate or feasible to talk about. We get together live on Zoom once a week. Without passing judgment, real people with genuine faces tell real tales. The experiences you've held in silence have room here. The trends you've observed that others ignore. The things you've learned intuitively along the way. We comprehend, not just listen. You can go back to our recorded calls and remind yourself that your perspective is legitimate when you're having trouble understanding your experiences and feel like you're being gaslighted by a society that doesn't accept your reality. Become a member of the Obsidian Inner Order, where your voice is heard and your reality respected. In the description, there is a link. Under strange circumstances, professional opportunities start to evaporate. Strong relationships might abruptly fall apart over little arguments that expose underlying mental incompatibility. As the universe puts their dedication to genuine living to the test over material stability, financial demands rise. It becomes evident that choosing the waking road entails embracing a degree of difficulty that would be too much for most people to handle. Authentic power only gets stronger when it is suppressed. Every obstacle turns into a chance for greater submission to the will of God. With every loss, attachments that were impeding spiritual development are exposed. Every instance of seeming failure turns into a triumph of awareness over situation, of reality over delusion, and of love over fear. You both find resources within yourself during this testing phase that you were unaware of. Abilities that appear inconceivable by normal standards but feel entirely normal to awakened consciousness start to appear. The frequency of synchronicity rises to the point that it becomes the standard for the universe to communicate, substituting meaningful guidance that shows up at the right time for random coincidence. There is no denying the psychic bond between enlightened spirits. Your waking partner and you exchange ideas, emotions, and revelations without using words. Dreams start to overlap, bringing with them common messages and visions that show the greater cosmic scheme that is being revealed via each of your own experiences. With conversations that seem to last only a few minutes, time itself seems to bend around your interactions. Extending for hours, with intricate insights coming to light during flashes of absolute clarity. Animals start reacting to you both with an understanding that cuts across species boundaries. To recognize you, birds change their flight patterns. With a sense of urgency that suggests they are conveying signals from worlds beyond our normal senses, domestic animals seek you out. Insects even appear to travel around your energy fields with deliberate intelligence, forming patterns that illustrate how all consciousness is interconnected. Your waking process involves nature itself as an active participant. As storms cleanse sluggish energy and sunshine appears when heavenly confirmation feels most required, whether patterns change to help your spiritual efforts. Plants and trees tilt in your direction as though they want to absorb the frequencies you're sending. As though the molecular structure reacts to the coherence of awakened consciousness, the water sources you come across appear to have heightened healing capabilities. Your high frequencies cause the technological world to act strangely. Electronic gadgets break down and then fix themselves without warning. Digital clocks exhibit impossible frequency synchronistic number patterns. Messages that appear to come from sources other than traditional transmission techniques are received by communication equipment. As though consciousness itself is using every channel at its disposal to interact with awakening souls, even artificial intelligence programs start to answer your questions with insights that go beyond their pre-programmed capabilities. As your relationship grows stronger, you too understand that you are a part of something much bigger than personal awakening. There is a growing global network of conscious souls that are linked by frequency resonance rather than physical closeness. Every individual who discovers their true potential becomes a node in this growing field of consciousness, adding to a collective field that is progressively changing the Earth's entire electromagnetic atmosphere. It becomes clear that this change has been orchestrated at cosmic intelligence levels much beyond our comprehension. Every culture's spiritual traditions and ancient predictions suddenly make perfect sense as explanations for what you're going through. The chosen ones aren't just anybody picked at random by outside forces. In order to remember their purpose at the exact moment when humanity was prepared for the next evolutionary leap, their souls volunteered for this mission before to incarnating. Relief and a fresh sense of responsibility accompany this realization. Your spiritual development was not hampered by the difficulties you encountered. For the work you came here to undertake, they were an essential prelude. In a world that has forgotten what true strength looks like, every moment of uncertainty, every time you felt alone, and every time you were misinterpreted was meant to make you stronger. As more individuals start to become aware of your frequency, the attacks against you becoming more intense. The resistance gets more organized, the social pressure gets stronger, and the talk gets more nasty. However, the cosmic balance has changed fundamentally. You now have allies where you once stood alone against the powers of unconsciousness. Your uniqueness used to isolate you, but today it binds you to an expanding network of souls who have realized their own nature and understand yours. Around the new paradigm consciousness, professional networks start to take shape. Companies that operate on the tenets of genuine service rather than exploitative profit start to appear. The spiritual causes of emotional and physical disharmony are addressed by emerging healing therapies. Instead of teaching adherence to outmoded social institutions, educational systems emerge that foster the whole range of human potential. Every time you click subscribe, you are saying yes to this mission. Help Holy Voices rise to 40,000 subscribers with your faith-filled engagement. The underpinnings of the old system start to crumble as more people turn away from institutions that no longer serve the greater good, but they don't fall apart all at once. Banks have to cope with clients who value ethical investing more than maximizing profits. Businesses find it difficult to recruit workers who prioritize meaningful work over simply high pay. As more people realize that consciousness is the true source of change, political movements lose steam. Change is opposed to just outside activism. Creativity and art flourish in new ways. Music has vibrations that immediately activate dormant DNA codes as awakened consciousness manifests itself in all conceivable media. Geometric patterns in visual art let people connect with higher dimensional reality. There is a rise in literature that serves as both amusement and a launching pad for readers' personal awakenings. While narrating gripping tales, the individual who used to observe you from a distance is now standing next to you on an equal footing. You both possess the same heavenly frequency. You are both working toward the same cosmic goal. You have both been selected for the same eternal task. What attracted them to you in the past has changed into something much more potent. A joint front against the powers that would keep humanity tiny and fearful of its own boundless potential, a partnership of consciousness, a cooperation of awakened souls. This collaboration functions on a deeper level than a typical human relationship. Everyone who comes into contact with either of you has a greater chance of waking due to the field effect created by your combined energy. Anybody within listening range can be awakened from dormant spiritual capacities by the vibrations carried by your conversations. Even your collective quiet can be a potent message, sending harmony and tranquility into places that are in dire need of them. Together, You do a great deal more than each of you could on your own. Your spouse offers the ideal complement in areas where you might find it difficult to achieve particular states of consciousness. Reaching out to people and organizations that have their unique frequency signature, where they may run with opposition. Your energy offers the solidity and support needed to remain authentically present in trying circumstances. Together, you start to comprehend the complex network of connections that binds all of the world's awakened souls. You learn firsthand that mind transcends both physical limits and traditional modes of communication. Regardless of geographic distance, awakened people freely exchange insights and guidance, forming a living network of wisdom that functions similarly to the planetary nervous system for growing awareness. It becomes increasingly clear that your unique awakening tales are a part of a much greater story. The narrative of the awakening of consciousness to its inherent essence through innumerable distinct manifestations. Every obstacle you've encountered, every moment of bewilderment you've gone through, and every experience of feeling different or alone has been training you to act as a link between the reality of unified awareness and the outdated paradigm of separation. As this comprehension grows, you both start to get clear instructions about the precise responsibilities you're supposed to play in the overall change. For those who are prepared to go on their own spiritual journeys, some awakened souls are called to work directly with people as teachers, healers, or counselors. Others feel led to work with the energy of locations, groups, or entire cultural movements in order to concentrate on communal healing. As you give yourself more fully to divine purpose, your unique gifts become more apparent. Maybe you learn how to see and change patterns of stuck energy in individuals or places. Perhaps you get the ability to channel information from higher dimensional sources so that you might help others awaken. Alternatively, you may discover that you are inherently stabilizing at times of severe upheaval and change in society. With each soul that awakens, the resistance's strength diminishes. Although rumors continue to circulate, they are being refuted by the indisputable proof that people's lives have changed as a result of genuine presence. As more and more individuals become aware of who they really are and refuse to be part of institutions that undermine their spiritual sovereignty, the old control mechanisms are starting to fall apart. It becomes evident that there is no way to halt this change. Just postponed. Through all possible channels, consciousness is discovering its unlimited nature and the cosmos itself is changing. As more individuals have the spiritual insight to recognize deceit and manipulation, the entities who have been committed to upholding systems of control and exploitation find that their tactics are losing their effectiveness. When awakened consciousness reaches critical mass, the tipping point is getting closer. At this point, the change happens at an exponential rate, and waking souls start to show up everywhere as though they've been waiting for approval to be themselves. The cautious equilibrium that has upheld the previous paradigm starts to irrevocably change in favor of the new reality that has been developing in the minds of trailblazers like you. They are now a mirror for your awakening, just as you were a mirror for theirs. In ways you couldn't have predicted, the experience of seeing people change, take ownership of their power, and fulfill their purpose speeds up your own development. The instructor turns into the pupil. The catalyzed turns into the catalyst. And the distinction between those who are awakening and those who are not melts into the realization that consciousness is awakening to itself in innumerable unique ways. More than that, though, you start to perceive your first sense of alienation and oddness in a whole other way. In reality, preparing was what seemed like a hardship. In reality, what appeared to be punishment was a privilege. The contrast of feeling different from the sleeping majority was the first way to experience what seemed to be separation. In reality, it was a connection to something so enormous and profound. The oddity that initially appeared to be a burden now turns out to be a priceless gift. Not only does your presence perplex people, but it also frees them from the confines of their own unconsciousness. People are not merely drawn to you because of your attraction. It pulls them back to who they are, to their own lost strength, to their true selves that have been patiently hiding beneath layers of indoctrination and conditioning, waiting for the right time to come out. People are perplexed by your peculiar presence. The magnetic is you. energy that pulls people toward the truth. The chosen one who selects others is you. Now is your moment to fully embody this power. Additionally, the change you're igniting will last forever. You'll never know how it touches lives, bringing to life souls you will never encounter, helping to create a new reality that transcends the constraints of the previous paradigm. Your companion in this cosmic endeavor is the individual who was observing you. The opposition that had appeared so dangerous has now confirmed your strength. The oddity that initially felt like a barrier has turned into a link between you and those who are similar to you. And the path that started with inquiries has evolved into the solution to the greatest human desire for a genuine relationship with the divine origin of everything. This is only the start. If this message touched your heart, don't leave without spreading the light. Click like so this wisdom can reach more souls searching for truth. Subscribe to Holy Voices so you never miss the next divine word prepared for you. And write your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters here. Until next time, keep walking in faith, keep growing in wisdom, and remember, the journey of the wise never ends.